Hi, this is Navya. Today we have with us Dr. Spandan Sampath Reddy, who is a dentist and the youngest of the advanced practitioners of craniosacral therapy. She's also a trainer of craniosacral therapy with international schools for the past 13 years. She's also an osteopath and a faculty at the Sri Sri University, Odisha and Sri Sri School of Yoga. Hi Spandan, welcome.
Hi.
It is great having you here.
Thank you.
So today we wanted to talk on the relation between brain and gut. Yeah. So my first question to you is, there's been a lot of discussion going about the brain and gut, and the gut is called as a second brain. Why?
So we do know that the brain is a bunch of nerves that sits in the head. And the gut also has a bunch of nerves called the enteric nervous system. And what has been found recently is that these two guys talk to each other. So the terms that we use in day-to-day living, that I have a gut feeling that I should do it. Or when you have a very stressful situation in life, you say something like, oh my God, I feel so gutted. So any good thing for the nervous system, any shock to the nervous system is also related to the gut. So now the evidence in neuroscience now shows that the nerves in the brain and the nerves in the gut are like very close cousins sitting in two different parts of the body. And they talk to each other, and together they work for the well-being and efficiency of health.
Also, it is said that our body is like a chemical factory and there are like so many of them running inside us. So how do you think that these chemicals are going to affect us?
There are many chemicals that are produced in the body, and the gut has its own set of chemicals that it produces. The brain has its own set of chemicals that it produces. The brain principally looks out for the safety and well-being of the body. Maintenance of health and long-term good quality of life in the long term, or a good efficiency of the body in the long term, is principally taken care of by the gut. So the brain is in the head, right? And the head can move. So the brain is designed more for a threat safety response, and the gut responds to it. So the brain produces chemicals that are needed for you to survive. It also produces all the other chemicals. So if you have seen people who are, all these chocolate ads are based on that. You have a chocolate and you feel like you're floating in the air, or you have an ice cream and you start bonding with people and society, and buying a good gadget. An expensive gadget is the way to live your life. All of these are designed towards the brain. So dopamine, endorphins, these are chemicals that are released when you have a gratification response. So these are pleasure based. So when people, it's very classic, even I belong to that category. You're having a quote blue day, you're having a day which you're like, let's go window shopping, let's go to the mall, let's look at all the nice colors, maybe pick up this here and there. That's a very brain oriented thing to do. That of course makes you feel good, that responds with the gut, because then you get hungry and you go to the food court and you eat food. But the brain looks at instant pleasure and a sense of completion. So there is, when these latest gadgets are released in the market, especially the fruit named ones. So yeah. So there are these people stand in lines right from midnight, and there is this thing that, oh my God, if I get it, that's it, my life is done, I'm sorted, it defines me. But the moment you get it, what then? Then you want the next big thing. One of my favorite series, The Big Bang Theory, there is this episode where Sheldon discusses whether to buy the PlayStation or the Xbox. And it's so funny that, it is such a big conflict. So expectation of pleasure or instant gratification is a more head thing. So if you look at it in another way, your requirement or your need to be acknowledged, your need to get the credit, not even the need, the desperation or the restlessness to get the credit or to be seen, or you wanting to reach the top no matter what. That's a very head-oriented reaction. So The chemicals principally are similar, and there are certain chemicals that the gut predominantly produces, which are also responsible for doing well, achieving goals, all of that. But it moves more towards a sense of well-being, companionship, teamwork. So, like for example, there's this chemical called oxytocin. So oxytocin is released by the brain. It's called a love hormone. So you look at a puppy, you look at a beautiful flower, you see a baby sitting, cooing and gurgling. It releases, yeah. So it's an oxytocin response. So oxytocin, even though it is produced by the brain, has a whole body effect. Similarly, there is a chemical called serotonin. Serotonin is responsible for overall well-being of the body. It's a mood elevator. It helps you to live a beautiful way of life. It involves including everybody around you. So when you look at concepts of team building or being a good leader, where not only are you moving towards the top, you're taking everybody else along with you. So then it's not just about you, but it becomes about all the people around you, is classically a very gut-oriented response. So even though the brain and the gut talk to each other and they have similarities in the chemicals that they produce, the chemicals that inherently help you include the whole society. So we talk about Vasudev Kutumbakam, one world family, Sangachatva, moving together. These are very gut-oriented responses. So now the thing that comes into play is, are you a head-oriented person or are you a gut-oriented person? So once it becomes this change is also seen, very classically seen in people, in women especially. Women are, I'm not saying men are not, but women are also trained to be nurturing by nature. But the moment they have a baby or, they get into a family life, they subconsciously start putting other people in front of them. Yeah. That's a very gut-oriented response. And I always joke with my mother. My mother was very lean before she got married, and now she's very cute. She's still very healthy and all that, but she's got a little tummy. So I say, that's your gut response. Because you're gut-oriented, you become so cuddly and cute. It's not a very big, but it's a tiny little stomach. So yeah, I mean, the chemicals are pretty amazing, how they're released in the brain and the gut. And yeah, they talk to each other, and it has a lot of effect on us as people and the way we live our lives.
So does the brain and gut has an impact on our life's journey, like how we were before and how we want to be in future, or how we are going to be in future?
Yeah, definitely. I think based on the way you live your life and based on the things you prioritize, there are, like Gurudev says very beautifully, he says you have two lives. One before you meditated and one after you started meditating. So where ingeniously or very naturally we are designed to look out for ourselves and take care of, so I take care of myself in this world. So what I have grown up with is that the world is a big bad place and you're a girl and you have to, and you have to take care of yourself. So the first response that goes out is, am I safe? Am I okay? Am I all right with myself? And do I have enough to sustain myself? But the moment you start meditating, there is something very magical about it. But also when you consciously become aware of your breath, this is something that my teacher also says. She says, you do your practices in the morning, that is when you become aware of your breath, and for the rest of the day you forget about it. But as you meditate and you start becoming more aware, you're kind of opening the doors for the gut to enter your life. So then moving from the place of the world is a big bad place, you're moving now into the world is my family. And not only do I have to take care of myself, how can I also take care of people around me? So where I would probably take a sandwich and go and sit in one corner and enjoy it by myself, if I see someone else, I would offer it. That's a very gut-oriented response. Some children are born with it. And these children classically would be the kids who would break fights in the playground, who would stand up against bullying, who would go and sit with the children who are new in class, or who would give company to someone who's feeling lonely. But if you look at a larger percentage of the population as we become adults, teenagers, apparently intelligent, you become very head-oriented. So, but if you have a priority of having a ritual for yourself every day, you give time to yourself, as you start respecting your body, taking care of it, respecting your mind, taking care of it, you very gently but very clearly move from a brain-oriented person to a gut-oriented person. So it doesn't mean that you become someone whom people can take advantage of. Not really. You also become very smart.
Okay.
Yeah. So not only are you performing well, you're also allowing vistas for other people to come in, join you, and then move together.
Approachable.
So you become more human. So that's a matter of choice. In fact, I think the top guys of any organization are this. So yeah. So if you look at very classically, you have people hunting for jobs. The moment they get a job, the first is a brain-oriented response. Am I okay? Am I safe? Am I going to get fired? Am I doing well? Fine. Then you have a few appraisals. Then you start climbing up the ladder and you realize you now are responsible for a few people under you. So then naturally you start orienting to your gut. Because then the performance of the other people depends on your performance. Or you then decide how other people do. So then people who very naturally and organically move into their gut become great leaders. And then of course they also climb up the ladder very quickly. So it's I think a matter of priorities and choices. So looking out for yourself all the time may always not be the best option.
Also, you were mentioning that these chemicals have such a profound impact on our thoughts. Are these also responsible in shaping a personality?
Definitely. If you look at children, so children who are born in, who are brought up in difficult environments, they don't care about others. Not all the time. At least 80 to 85% of them would be like, do I survive? Do I live another day? You look at the war-torn countries, you know, but the moment you start accessing the power of your gut and you consciously start taking your breath very seriously and you realize that actually connects your head to the gut and you prioritize doing yoga, pranayam, meditation, then naturally you start moving into a space from where you're like, okay, I think I have enough for myself, and even if I don't, why can't I share it with other people? And this is a very common thing that is seen in corporates also. I don't think it's just corporates, I think it is any field today. It's right there in the schools also. You'll have some people who will be like, it'll be about I serve myself first, the others come after me, and there will be a few people who will be like, let me take care of the others, and in the process they themselves are taken care of. So brain, the nature that a person has is not necessarily because of their genes. When you start see, a lot of times people say this, I'm a victim of my circumstances. Yeah, but you can make a choice to change it. You know, so you may have been brought up with a father who was very angry, with a mother who couldn't give you the time she wanted. You may have grown up angry, but when you make the choice to make that shift and to take up practices in your life that consciously move you from the brain to the gut, you have changed as a person. So I think that's why it's very cool, because when you meditate, you are not defined by your environment and genes anymore. You choose to make a difference, and then you also find the power to change the environment and factors around you.
So I mean, when I was just hearing to you, it sounds so fantastic being a gut person. So is there a way where we can like increase it, or like just being more of a gut person? Any exercises if you could give us?
Breath is a very big key. You know, there are a few nerves that exit from the head, and the only nerve that travels directly from the brain to gut is called the vagus. And today vagus is like an enigma. Vagus is like the thing. It's the hottest selling bun in neuroscience. Everybody's like, what is it about? What is it about? But apart from the many things that the vagus does, it directly connects the brain to the gut.
Oh.
And one of the most, it's such a beautiful nerve. It exits from your head, drops through the throat, next to the voice box, through the chest into the heart, through the heart into the diaphragm, the muscle that separates the stomach from the chest, and then into the gut. So one of the most simplest ways to access the vagus is to breathe. So taking deep breaths or becoming aware of the breath coming into your heart and into your stomach. Shall we do it?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so what we're going to do is one hand on the chest, one hand on the stomach, and you take a deep breath in and breathe out. Take another breath in and breathe out. So you may notice that maybe the chest moves a little more than the stomach, or the stomach moves a little more than the chest. So what we are now consciously doing is we'll try to open up the chest and the stomach both. So for me, my chest opens more than the stomach. So now as you breathe in, I open my chest, and then I also breathe air into my stomach. And then very gently breathe out. Let's do it one more time. Deep breath in. And breathe out. So making sure that you are breathing in to your chest and as much as you're breathing into your stomach, and you're breathing in as much as you breathe out. So if you look at it, breathing in is like receiving. Breathing out is like giving. You know? So do you also give as much as you receive? And when you're doing this, when you're consciously helping your diaphragm to move, you're slowing down your heart rate and you're helping the nervous system to calm down. So that's what the vagus does. The vagus really helps you to calm down. Another great way of, and the important thing is when you're breathing in and out, you breathe from the nose and not the mouth. Okay, so you're not doing that. You're taking a deep breath in, filling up both the chest and the stomach equally, and breathe out very slowly and very gently. So my teacher says that if you are able to breathe in for a whole minute and breathe out for a whole minute, you're sorted.
Yes. So it should be balanced.
Yes. Another great way of connecting your brain and gut is music. So singing some bass, like, so there is an exercise, there's a pranayama in yoga called Bhramari. So when you do Bhramari, you're just making a sound of So it works in the back of the mouth, close to the origin of the tongue, and that is exactly where the vagus moves.
Okay, it just has sensation here.
Yes. So it also has the ability to calm a person down and to help them to settle down, take a step back and look at the situation again. When you're a brain person, there is this tendency to jump into situations, react, and you're a very type A. You're like, I have to do this, you're taking responsibility, shouldering the weight of the whole world. And in time down the line, there is tendency for many lifestyle disorders that come in. But when you move to the gut end, because you're not desperate for the credit, you're okay delegating work. And you're okay doing teamwork. So then you also live a longer, healthier life. So music is great too.
So while you were saying this, I was just thinking about it. What kind of a diet one can have to keep the gut healthy?
There are a few things. One is to eat at the same time. So having a set slot of time to have your food, that's one. Another is eating fresh food. And eating, so a lot of people have different definitions of healthy. So I was talking to a patient of mine, I said, see, you need to eat greens, you need to eat salad, you need to eat green leaves. So he says, okay, so the green leaf that is there in the middle of my burger, is that healthy? So I was like, yes, what is the amount of carbohydrates?
Carbs.
So for me, it's very clear that you need to have a bowl of salad, you need to have a bowl of vegetables, pulses, little bit of carbohydrate, and eat it at a specific time of the day. So that is how you train your body. It's about discipline at the end of the day. So then as your body gives you a signal, I'm hungry, you feed it. So there may be times like I travel, so there may be times when I'm really hungry and I'm on the go and I don't have food, carry something with you. So I usually have some dry fruits on me. But taking care of the health of your gut becomes equally important to take care of the brain and the mind. So if there is a digestion issue, people are not in a great mood. Look at yourself on the days when you haven't digested food well, or you haven't had a great bowel movement. So then the brain gut connection also relates itself to health, the food, because it's not just the food you eat, it's actually the food you absorb. So the more fresh it is, the more recently cooked it is, and the healthier it is, it's good.
Earlier you were talking about oxytocin and how being oxytocin is amazing. Even just hearing about that is just giving me happy thoughts. How can we have more of oxytocin in the body?
Oxytocin is called the hormone of love.
Yeah.
Oxytocin has a few functions. It is that which begins labor. It is initiates the beginning of the contraction of the uterus. Oxytocin is the first bond between the mother and the baby. So the moment a baby is born and the mother looks at the baby and the baby looks at the mother, that connection is oxytocin. It's a very special connection. And oxytocin also is responsible for milk letdown, for the mother beginning to breastfeed the baby. So if you look at it at a larger perspective, oxytocin is responsible for you bonding with people. It's responsible for you nurturing people. And it's also responsible for very gently and very lovingly making a difference. So studies now show that, we already knew about it, but studies now emphasize on the importance of meditation. Meditation, pranayam, yoga, taking time out for yourself, and taking deep breaths. So when you meditate, you're helping the part of your brain that is more evolved to take over than the part of the brain that is responsible for your fight-flight response. So there is a fight-flight, or there is a rest and digest. Fight-flight is what is present generally the moment you step out into the world. But for you to be able to have the luxury to switch back to your evolved brain and help that to dominate, so that you move away from it's me, it's mine, it has to be all about me, to okay, I'm here, how can I contribute, how can I make the world a better place? So oxytocin plays a massive role in that. So a great way of increasing it is meditate. Sudarshan Kriya, there is so much research, so much evidence that has come out. They have found it in trauma victims who wouldn't look at each other, ended up hugging each other at the end of a workshop. Spending time with nature, spending time with animals. The moment you realize that you are a speck in the vastness of this universe, it just brings out this beautiful amount of love, knowing that you have very limited time on this planet. That's a very oxytocin response. So stepping out, making time for your hobbies, making time for nature, meditate. Yoga, pranayams, very big. It literally changes, because even though the enteric nervous system in the gut is not as big as the brain, but it is so powerful that it has the ability to dominate the chemicals that are released in the body. So when a person meditates over a period of time, they move from a very endorphin, dopamine kind of a person to a very serotonin, oxytocin kind of a person. And once that shift is made, you will never go back to the way you were.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So when a person meditates over a period of time, they naturally become very loving, very accommodating, very giving, very generous, very positive in life. So it takes a while for a person to move from the brain to the gut. That is why practice and discipline is very important. But once that shift is made, there's no going back. So the world just becomes a very beautiful place.
It's so beautiful to listen to this also.
Recently, we have been influenced by so many things. Social media, generally media, too much of information coming in, and that is affecting children. ADHD, learning disability, autistic spectrum did not exist at this level of being an epidemic as it was about 20 years ago, as it is today. So there are very interesting studies that have shown how spending time with hands in soil, meditating, playing in a group, away from artificial phone screen time / TV screen / laptop screen time, has made children more open to learning, has tempered them down in their mood, and has made them what they're supposed to be, loving, happy, bright children. So meditation, good food, yoga, chanting, all of these practices, basically going back to nature, all of these practices not only make a difference to adults, they also make a difference to children. Because if you look at the dynamics of a family, children resonate with their elders.
Parents.
You know, so the father walks in from the office very angry, the child will get very restless. So as elders, it is not only it's not only necessary, it's the responsibility of the adults in the house to meditate and to have a very even temperament and a very generous, loving nature. It's okay, like you punish your kids and all, I get it, but the general well-being of the family comes from the elders, and that is resonated by the children. So children who have been diagnosed with ADHD, even the spectrum, have shown amazing results with meditation and music, with playing outside in nature, with playing with each other and not doing virtual games. So it goes a long way. So this brain-gut connection actually is very ancient. And the more we listen to our gut, and the more we are in sync, that you do what your body tells you and you don't always tell your body what to do. So as long as there is a negotiation and there is an understanding between the brain and gut, I think people can really reach amazingly new levels of health and wellness.
Also, you was just mentioning that music also plays
Yeah.
a key role. So what sort of music, and is there anything more to whatever you just said, like meditations, darshan, anything more which one can do to increase the brain and gut relation?
You know, the chanting intonations that we have very classically activate the back of the throat. So you can have different kinds of music. So there is instrumental also. But if a very simple sargam, like you sing sa re ni sa, it's activating the back of the throat. Or something as simple as Om Sa, so all these intonations are specifically designed to activate the area close to the root of the tongue, and that is where the vagus runs. So a new branch of the vagus has been found to run through the voice box. So people, when they are stressed, when they're in a difficult situation, they find it very difficult to speak. Children in the spectrum, yes. So that's also the blocking of the vagus. So when you move into music, or you do a very simple sargam, or you hum to yourself, or you do Brahmari, so you do it's also the same intonation. It really helps to open it up. So it kind of renews the relationship between the brain and the gut.
Okay, just like to wrap it up, it's about listening to music, meditation, Sudarshan Kriya, of course, and
Yoga, pranayama.
Oh, yoga, pranayama, and fresh food, healthy food.
Lots of water.
Lots of water. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Going to nature, living in sync with nature. You sleep when the sun sets, a few hours after that. You get up when the sun is rising. All these things, having a discipline, makes a huge difference.
Just improve the health of the gut.
Yeah, so these are not very expensive, but they're just very smart choices you make.
It's so amazing. Thank you so much for taking out your time and coming here. It's just blown.
Thank you so much for inviting me.